All right, folks, we are in here. We're finally going to be doing a proper video on LensNode. Now, if you've seen some of my if you saw the short film Deadline, shout out to my cinematographer on that, Miguel Ordez. We used LensNode for the exterior shots on that. If you saw my video on the lomography lenses, that was the first time I featured LensNode, and then I featured it in a couple more videos since then, and we even showed it on the live stream, my Nikon ZR live color grading live stream. So yeah, check all that out, man, if you haven't seen that after you watch this video. I have some Sony FX6 footage. This is all horrific footage shot by myself, okay? We have Sony FX6 footage here. I only say that, so, I can say the things that people already say about me, so we get that out of the way. So again, FX6 is our band, FX30 is our cooking shot here. Then we have 3 clips that I pulled from my Nikon ZR review, I guess, over on the video. Shout out to everybody watching that. Man, the comments on that are hilarious. I'm loving it. We even had the Nikon guys email me. I don't know why, but they hit me up. If you have not seen that, I'll link that as well, obviously. Now, the ones that I've chosen, these aren't exactly the best clips from that night, but I kind of chose these for a reason, because I'm looking for specific things to look at when we start using the LensNode. And then I even have some GoPro footage in here from my other channel. So shout out to all of my lovers of street photography. That's where my street photography videos have gone over at The Freeway Life, both on Instagram and YouTube. So anyways, let's get back to this. And the reason why I chose like a lot of different camera profiles, because LensNode actually have a way where you can input the color space. I actually did shoot this in S-Log3 S-Gamma3.Cine, but because I have a color space transform on, it's automatically, doing the thing. But it is no LUT selected. Actually, what I want to do, honestly, I kind of hate working in color management, and I recently changed my settings, so I think I'm going to turn it off for now. I just kind of hate using the color managed, honestly. And so if I'm going to do that, then I'm just going to change this to DaVinci Wide Gamut Intermediate. And I'm going to change my output color space to just Rec 709 Scene, because apparently that's the new thing now for Mac users. You don't have to do Rec 709A anymore. Now we can just do Rec 709 Scene, apparently. I guess that's to TBD. Let me know how you guys are having experiences with that. So now, now you can see it's S-Log3 S-Gamma3.Cine. I do put LensNode in one of the very first nodes. The reason for it is because I can input the color space. So you see over here, I can just scroll down to S-Log3 S-Gamma3.Cine, and then it kind of, you notice that it did change a little bit, right? So the first thing to notice here is we have a few different selections under the manufacturer tab. We got Asahi, Canon, Cooke, Helios, Lomo, Lensbaby, Mih, Node Mill, Tribe 7, and Votlanda. Now here's the cool thing. They are going to be adding more lenses to this set. I love it. First of all, let me say that. It has replaced my need or desire for Dehancer. Honestly, like, even if you saw my review of Dehancer, I did kind of commentary on like how everyone is literally using it. Like it has become like the cancer of the YouTube filmmaking universe, and even like photographers get it too. So like everybody is using Dehancer to where it's like, it's almost like, not doing what it's supposed to do. It's kind of like the equivalent of like being a hipster in Silver Lake, Los Angeles. It's like, yeah, you all want to be like unique, but the problem is like they all end up looking exactly the same. So, I'm sure I offended some people there. I didn't mean to, but I think that if you're self-aware enough, you can at least identify, the way that I can identify, like, yeah, I'm just a old skate uncle at this point. Originally was a skate rat when I was a kid, but now that I'm a middle-aged man, now I'm just an old skate uncle. They call me Unk, I guess, right? That's what the kids would call me if I go to the skate park. So you have to be a little bit self-aware of yourself. Like if you're a hipster living in Silver Lake, you have to know like, hey man, you're not that unique. You know what I mean? In terms of like the way you're dressing and the coffee shop you go to, right? Okay, now that I pissed everybody off thoroughly, I think you understand what I'm saying though, right? So like if everybody ends up using something because they think it's unique, the problem is when everybody ends up using it, it's no longer unique. Now, the problem is that this will inevitably probably happen with LensNode as well. But the kind of cool thing about LensNode is it's not really like this film emulation thing. It's literally like being able to add character to your footage that is really reminiscent of like some of our world's most iconic lenses. You know what I mean? I mean, you can just see by this lineup that there's some big boys in here, right? So for instance, if I choose Cooke, instantly you get like all of those crazy aberrations and things, right? So if I turn this node off, like there you'll see, you know, and you'll notice, yeah, the noise on the FX6 is quite horrendous, but that is because I have the noise reduction turned off within the camera menus. I don't like any like internal noise camera reduction. So I obviously you do have to add noise reduction because yeah, this was a very documentary one-man band thing. And yeah, I was shooting at 12,800. Okay. So we can all get over that now with an f4 lens, right? And that's only because it's my workhorse, the 28 to 135. Okay, are we done bitching about the noise now? Let's move on. So let's turn on the LensNode and you'll see there what happened. I mean, instantly you get all those aberrations, you know, you get the crazy like whoop, like the distortion, you get everything, right? Now here's the thing. This is fully customizable down to what focal length it is, right? So if we get out of full view here, let me turn off the clip so we can get a little bit more. For now, I'm just going to turn off the nodes, right? Because we're just going to live with this, right now. You know what? I think I'm going to backpedal a little bit, and I think I'm going to turn the color manage back on so we can look at this in something that's like makes a little more sense, okay? Sorry about that. Let's turn the color management back on just so we can see it with some color here. So if I go full view, right, and if I disable the node, now you can really see what's going on with the footage. It's kind of cool, honestly. Look, it even like warms up the skin, or dare I say, cools off the skin, right? It's some people use those things differently. In my brain, I call it cooling off if it literally is not looking as warm, right? That's what I call cooling off. Now, I've heard and observed some really high-end DPs talk about this in the opposite manner. So I don't know what is what, but to me, I call that cooling off, but you know what I'm saying. I think we can both agree to disagree, or both agree that, yeah, man, the color temp is changing, right? That's the reality of it, right? So that is kind of rad to see that just with like the flick of this lens node being turned on, but that's just the base, right? All we've done so far is input our color space and chose our manufacturer. If we jump down here to the family, they have two different options of cook. They got Panchro I Classic, or they have the S4s, right? And then within each family, they have the different focal lengths. So you can go from Panchro I Classic to S4. See the difference there? And then within each family, you can choose the different focal lengths. So if we chose the family of Panchro Classics, this is what the 21 mil would be versus the 75 mil, right? You're actually getting like the true variance of distortion and aberration for that matter. And here's the thing, how they've done this, guys, is with the lens data. So they're doing this not just based off of eye and waveforms and things, they're also doing it by the actual data that they're receiving from the lenses. So there's a lot of technology going into this to make this program. That's the best way I can describe it, as, you know, the idiot that I am, right? But if you just want to learn more about it, there is a link down below and you can go check it out. Keep in mind, I'm an affiliate partner with them. And so because of that, you know, if you like to support this channel, then any of my links are a way to go. And by the way, if you ever forget, like, hey, didn't Justin have a code for that or something? All of my codes I keep in one nice spot over at justinfilm.com/connect. justinfilm.com/connect. I know, shameless plug, but you know, I don't have any sponsors really on this channel. Like, nobody is like giving me cameras and things. So like, you know, I have to find ways to, you know, be able to keep doing this for you guys. So, but beyond just choosing the focal length, okay, we can also get in here and we can adjust things like the master blend. Like, look at that. Look how much we can push and pull that distortion. Holy cannolis, look at that. And then they have this overdrive setting, which makes it even crazier. Like, you can push beyond what the lens would naturally give you. And then what's cool too is you can change your sensor size. So if you wanted to add less vignette or more vignette, but keep in mind that 25 is the numerical value for full frame equivalent, right? So anything under that would be larger than full frame, and anything above 25 numerically would be smaller than full frame, right? So you can kind of dial in that vignette, but I just always leave mine on full frame because I kind of, you know, I like seeing, I don't like a crazy amount of vignette, you know, but some of you might, you know, depending on what the thing is. And then of course you can even change your f-stop sharpener. So notice, like, full blown out, like everything's blurry, right? But then if we can tone it back ourselves, we can get all of our resolution back, right? So that's just in the first drop-down menu. Okay, keep that in mind. And keep in mind, like, this is also, you can do that with every manufacturer, right? So another one of my favorites is Tribe 7. I love these Tribe 7s, the Blackwing 7X tuned. How cool is that, right? Now you're talking about lenses that guys like me, you're not going to get those. You're just not. We can pitch those for a rental, and when you pitch it, you're like, yeah, they're just going to tell me to use my lenses. Seriously. So now that you have this program, that's pretty rad, to know like, hey, on the back end, we're going to put these Blackwing 7X tunes in there, and people won't know what the hell you're talking about. But so for instance, this is what the Blackwing 7X looks like at the 20.7 mil T19 versus its 57 mil, right? And again, we can fine tune, make it crazier, make it less crazy, bring up our f-stop sharpener, bring it down, notice those drums there kind of going wild back there. Yeah, I absolutely love this. And then let's jump down to the individual controls. So this is where it gets really wild, right? You can essentially detune your, imaginary lenses here, or retune them, however you like to look at it, right? Like you can literally dial in each of these things. Like look at the distortion, the coma. Notice that drum set down there. So you can increase or decrease the coma. I love this distortion dial though. This is very, very cool. The aberrations even. So again, it's a little harder to tell things like that. We would need more of a bokeh shot. Let's jump over to the FX30 footage, because that was more of a kind of a closer shot. Or no, here's a good bokeh one, the Nikon ZR footage. This is kind of a gnarly one. First thing we want to do is throw our LensNode on LensNode 1. Notice it instantly jumps. We do have, yes, log 3G10, red, wide, gamut, RGB. Notice it lifts it way, way up. Holy cannoli. So let's do a Lomo thing, right? Look at these Illumina Super 35 Mark 1s, an 18 mil, a 25 mil, a 35 mil, 50 or 85. You can literally see there's not a huge jump difference between the 50 and the 85, but all of the others, pretty big jump. Let's go on the 25 mil. And now we can jump down here and kind of see what the aberrations are going to be doing. Yeah, you have to really pay attention to like the bokeh and things to really see and notice the neon light blown out there. Yeah, you can kind of feel it. That one's super subtle, the aberrations. Let's see the fringe. The fringe you can feel getting sharper or more diffused. Bokeh blur. Now, some of these are a little harder to tell, but also I think it is also because right now there are updates happening with Mac, right? So Mac is updating and DaVinci is also updating. So right now we're in that little like, oh, Mac updates, now I got update resolve, and then so there's like push and pull, and then I imagine then guess what, then all the apps have to update as well, so some of these things, because I know bokeh blur is one of those weird ones that I've kind of always had a little bit of trouble with, but I think it depends on the shot as well as the lenses, right? Because notice the vignette, you can really push and pull that vignette, right? Or my color cast here. Yeah, not as much though, right? Not as much. Let me jump to a different manufacturer. Let's jump over to, let's see what's up with the Helios. So this is the 442 from 1973, the 58 mil. So if we try to like, yeah, see, I'm not really seeing a huge difference in that bokeh blur or the bloom, but the vignette, obviously you can see. Color cast isn't even really moving the waveform. Let's see if it's moving the vector scope. This color cast. It is slightly moving on that vector. I think I'm just like sliding it so fast, you can't really tell. Let me just pull this bloom down. And then let me pull it up. Okay, now, yeah. Okay, it's just a matter of like moving too fast. So you notice no bloom versus all the bloom, right? Bokeh blur. Yeah. Let me choose a different clip because I think sometimes when it comes down to the bokeh, for some reason, it's like the hardest one to notice. Let's try something that has no bokeh, like my GoPro footage, right? Like let's just get to like a crazy shot here. It's literally just POV on the street. Okay, so like, what if I add LensNode to this? And now when you're doing like normal footage, you would just leave it on Rec 709, obviously. So we'll just leave it on the Super Tack, the 20 mil Super Tack. We'll take the clips off. Let's just jump down here and see if we get some bokeh blur with this. Let me zoom in on this a little bit. So let's just try to pay attention to like some of these areas over here. And now I'm going to increase it back to 100. I'm going to pull it back down. Yeah, okay, you do see it kind of shift. It's not that noticeable though. So if they're watching, like that would be kind of my one thing, like the bokeh blur is the weird one to me. Like I don't really see a difference happening on my machine. Granted, I do have an M1, you know, I have the older M1. But also like maybe I don't understand what it is. Maybe I just don't understand what bokeh blur is. To me, like I would think like, yeah, it's like it would blur more of what's going on, right? But if I drop it down to 0, I guess it technically gets a little sharper, right? I was just thinking like, I guess I'm looking for like some magical thing to make like some crazy like, bruh, like smearing effect, maybe, I guess is what I'm going for. Now, funny enough, they do have that, which I've shown in, I think in my lomography video. So their own profiles, the node mill, watch this gets gnarly. So they have movie effects in here. And now you do get this kind of crazy, like, this is what I thought. So maybe now we can see the difference. But yeah, even if I pull back bokeh blur on this, it doesn't really seem to do anything even when it gets crazy with this I mean, yeah, okay, I see. So if you pull all the way down, yeah, it is kind of sharpening up a little bit. But I mean, there doesn't seem to be a huge difference between fully maxed out to 0. So I don't know. But yeah, this effect is gnarly now. So if you saw the movie Civil War, but they also have 2 different variants of Sinners. So that one's not crazy, it's different colors. And then this one. So they're just kind of a little different. But yeah, I kind of like this. I did use this quite a bit when I first got LensNode because I was like, dude, this is so rad. But again, like some people might hate this. And look, when you like push the overdrive, you can really see. So maybe if I push the overdrive, now we can kind of see the difference in the bokeh blur. Like it basically just turns into tie-dye. Yeah, see, I'm not really seeing a huge difference in that bokeh blur setting. So, but we can like, we can reset the overdrive there. So those ones are really nutty, right? Those are really wild. And then, yeah, you can check out the Voltlander, the Nocton Classic here. It's a weird, right now, it's just like the most oddball set of lenses, like really the Voltlander lens, but it's like, okay, you know, it's cool. Like, you know, it's cool that they're building a little bit of a profile here. And I have been told they are working on more sets of lenses because I really want them to like do the Petzvals. Obviously that was my whole like lomography video, but honestly, the ones I use the most are just the Cooks, either these Panchro Classics or these S4s. For now, I just love it. But anyways, yeah, you do have those individual controls. And then also you can mix and match, right? So this is where it gets even more crazy. Let me get off this GoPro footage. It's just looking gnarly here. Let's go to something cool like some of my ZR footage, right? So we'll do this interesting pay here thing. We'll throw the LensNode on. Again, we want to make sure we tell it that this is log3G10. Let's throw the lens baby on. Oh my God, look at that. Obscura 16. The 16 mil at f22, here's the 16 mil at f45, and then the 16 mil at f90. Wow, that's pretty gnarly, the lens baby. Weird. Yeah, see, I never even opened that one. Look how wild that gets. When we put that on there, I think it's just because of all the blooming and the like the softness and everything. Anyways, beyond this, now that we got that, what you could do, you could come down here and you could swap the distortion with a totally different lens from a totally different family. Like you could say, yeah, this might be a lens baby Obscura, but then what if we want like the distortion of like a Cooke S4, you know, or one of these crazy Cooke Panchro Classics 21 mil. You know, and then maybe you say, well, I don't want all this crazy bloom, so maybe I just want the bloom from like a Lomo 18 mil or something, right? So you can literally like pick and choose everything you want down to like even this vignette, maybe some Canon FD vignette or something, you know, like, you know, and then they also down here have creative settings where you can dial in your depth gain, the bokeh swirl. Now you'll notice, yeah, you'll see how wild the bokeh swirl gets. Notice this corner down here. So if I pull it all the way down, and then as we pull it up, yeah, you can kind of feel it growing there. Yeah. Yeah, and then obviously technical settings. But yeah, so this program is quite insane, guys. It is really wild, and it's kind of a cool way that I've been using it to kind of give some unique character to the GoPro footage, certainly, cell phone footage, pretty much anything, just because you can literally input that color space from any camera. So it works good with log or not log. And yeah, if you want to check it out, there is a link below. You can save yourself a little bit of money, and also you help support the show. And if nothing else, just try it out. It's worth it just to try out to see what you think about it, because it is pretty nuts. And I'll leave a playlist of the videos down below so you can check and see like all the videos that I have been using it, not just here on this main channel, but also on my street photography channel over at The Freeway Life. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next week.